Question is to all the prime ministers. As Arctic nations with valuable resources that President Donald Trump wants, do you feel the U.S. threat to Greenland's sovereignty and Canada's sovereignty is over? And what specific actions can you as middle powers take together to defend each other?
Well, maybe I'll start since it comes from Canada. It's a very fundamental question, and I think that give a sense of the spirit of the discussion.
Right now, in one of the world's harshest and most remote regions, a major shift in global power is taking place above the Arctic Circle. For decades, the Arctic was mostly quiet, a frozen land of ice and silence. Today, it has become a stage for rising tensions, looming threats, and historic decisions that will shape the future of nations for generations. What recently happened in Oslo, Norway, is not ordinary diplomacy. It is a defining moment in world security, a moment that puts Arctic sovereignty, global alliances, and the fate of powerful nations on a collision course. In Oslo, on March 15, 2026, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney convened a summit with leaders from Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. They discussed deepening cooperation on Arctic defense, joint military procurement, shared security, and technology. This meeting came at a time of rising tensions in the High North. The summit was strategic, not symbolic. These nations share Arctic geography, climate challenges, and security concerns. They also share democratic values. The gathering marked a new chapter in how Canada plans to defend its northern territories and safeguard sovereignty. For years, Western strategy in the Arctic relied on alliances with superpowers, especially the United States. But today, that is no longer enough. Russia has expanded its military presence in the Arctic for years, creating a growing threat. NATO has launched the Arctic Sentry mission to strengthen surveillance and deterrence. At the same time, melting ice opens new shipping routes and access to mineral-rich lands, drawing powerful nations closer to the north. Canada and its Nordic partners took a historic step. They agreed to deepen collaboration on defense production and joint procurement. This approach prioritizes collective security over dependence on a single ally. This is not just traditional alliance talk. It is cooperation on practical tools, military logistics, infrastructure, and emerging technologies like space networks and artificial intelligence. Canada is choosing shared strength with many nations instead of reliance on one. Canada's approach has transformed. For decades, the country relied heavily on its southern neighbor for defense infrastructure, procurement, and geopolitical guarantees. Now, Canada is building a network of like-minded Arctic nations. This ensures that its security cannot be undermined by sudden political changes or pressure from any single power. Canada is still cooperating with the United States, but its security is no longer tied to a single partner. Ottawa is embedding itself in a network of Arctic nations that share interests and values. Tens of billions of dollars have been allocated to Arctic defense, including new bases, infrastructure, and readiness for northern communities. The Oslo summit strengthens ties between Canada and nations that actually live in or beside the Arctic. It makes defense fleets and equipment more interoperable and links economic and technological collaboration directly to security resilience. These agreements signal a profound change in how middle-sized democracies defend their borders and interests amid rising competition from major powers. The geopolitical ripple effect is significant. NATO's Arctic Sentry mission expands military presence to deter threats. Russia continues to assert power in the region. China and other non-Arctic countries are showing interest in northern trade routes and resources. The Arctic is no longer a remote frontier. It is now a frontline of geopolitics. Canada's strategic shift demonstrates that traditional security assumptions no longer hold. Middle powers are banding together. Sovereignty is no longer just territorial, it is collaborative and resilient. Canada is stepping into leadership through unity and strategy, not fear. Its approach emphasizes alliances with nations that share geography, interests, and democratic values, ensuring the Arctic is defended collectively. This moment shows that no single country should dominate the Arctic. Instead, nations that live in the region are taking responsibility for its security while resisting unilateral actions by any other power. Canada's pivot from dependence on a single superpower to a broader coalition could mark a historic turning point for the Arctic. It strengthens alliances, diversifies defense strategies, and positions Canada as a central player in the region's future. If you want to understand the changing dynamics of global power in the Arctic and how nations are preparing for the future, this story is essential. Canada's actions today will influence Arctic security, sovereignty, and international cooperation for decades to come.